What happens when someone sincerely searches for truth after leaving the religion that they were raised in? Welcome to Elemental Flow Show, episode 9. We've got our first guest. This is Jessie Taylor. Thank you for joining us, Jessie.
Thank you for having me.
And my other co-host is JP Perez. I'm Holly Dunaway, and thank you for joining us for another episode. So we would like to first, before we get into any controversial topics, I would like to introduce our guest. Jessie is a longtime friend of mine. We became friends 14 years ago, and she lives in Atlanta, Georgia. I used to live there for a little while, and she's one of my very closest friends. And she was raised in a church school. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me more about that?
Mm-hmm. So the family that I was adopted into, my grandfather's the pastor. He started church and then started a school. My mother was the secretary for that school, or bookkeeper specifically, I think. So I went there from the time I was 3 until I graduated. We had Bible class every day. Every week there were tests on Bible verses that we needed to memorize. And then after that, I went to Pensacola Christian College. My older brother graduated from there and is now a missionary to Papua New Guinea. He's been there for the last 20 years, building a church and a school there in Papua New Guinea. And
Your family's still deep into the church now?
Correct. Yeah. Correct. They are. After 1 year of Pensacola Christian College, I realized that it was the final straw for me, was Bible college. We had what you call, in the Christian community, blue and pink sidewalks. So that meant that the males had one side and the girls had another side. We had separate escalators, elevators.
You mentioned that you were adopted. Can you tell us a little bit more about that if you're comfortable talking about it?
Yes. So, all right. I'm the baby of 8 children, 7 that survived. Whenever I was 3, my mom died in a car accident. And my biological father put us up for adoption. It was a very interesting situation as an adult to find out about it, because he had a lot of family that flew in for the funeral of my mother, and everybody was willing to take a child, but he said, no, you're not religious enough. And so he packed us into a van and took us from South Carolina to Georgia. At night, hit us out with the most religious family that he could find. And from there, that pastor divvied us out to different religious families. So I was raised in a very religious Baptist background. So the family that I was adopted into, my grandfather was a pastor. He had started a church and a school that I went to from 3 until I graduated. After that, I went to Pensacola Christian College, and after a year, I was done with that.
In today's episode, we're going to delve into some controversy of different religion, because the 3 of us, we have very vastly different religious upbringings. JP being raised in a Catholic church, and Jessie being raised in a school church, K through 12, Bible college after that, me being raised Baptist and by an atheist. And so we have very differing opinions when we go to talk about these topics. And so, and as does every religion. So I want you to just view today's episode with an open mind, and it's meant to just drum up curiosity, as we should be able to question things.
Can I interrupt you there? What you said is so valuable. May I please announce statistics for what people believe in? Whether or not you knew this, it's like a 95% of people believe in what their parents believed in. My brother, he's a missionary, and he graduated not only from Bible college, but Bible seminary. He said there's over 20,000 religions. There's a lot of religions, all right? So if you believe that there's only one right one, all right, and your parents are the ones that made you believe in, and you just believe in the one that your parents believe in, let's talk about statistically the likelihood that that one religion, your statistical possibility of that religion being the one and only true one is what? Yeah, 1 out of 2,000. All right, because you're choosing to believe what your parents chose to believe. And guess what? What did they choose to do? They believe what their parents believed. All right, so religion depends on where you live. It's literally like 100% based on where you live, where you're born, what family you grow up in.
That's
you don't
very
have
valid point.
You don't have people
so
that.
then you start to wonder if it's actually a choice at all, or something that was ingrained before we ever got to question.
Beautiful. Is it really a choice? The purpose of Pensacola Christian College for a female, it is a missionary prep school. So if you're a female, the point of going there is to find you a male to settle down with and be like a minister's wife too, or a missionary's wife too.
But you can't even be on the same sidewalk. So how are you supposed to fraternize with
well, they found a way. They always found a way. Always found, not to be inappropriate with each other, but to go ahead and couple up. Mm-hmm. They nothing stands in between. You're still gonna couple up because everybody's very ready for, very horny. Can I say that? They're all very horny. They're all very horny down there.
So so you said you had doubts.
So
what were the doubts before you even got to college? Where did the doubts come in?
Well, first I'll say, okay, we'll go with that first. The doubts are when it's not appropriate to ask questions. I remember like this boy in elementary school that was very like black sheep. And when we would be in chapel learning about Noah's flood, I remember him standing up and being like, hey, guys, we have floods all the time on earth. Like, there's floods all the time. So, and the way that he was treated after saying a question like that made me be like, oh, I ain't saying nothing. No, I ain't saying nothing. But once I was in college, I remember calling my grandmother and just being like, I am so miserable here. I got demerits one day for my outfit being too pretty because I was wearing like a lace top that was kind of see-through and just very pretty, but I was wearing basically a t-shirt. It was cute. It matched. It was a t-shirt underneath it. So it was a lace top that was very pretty, but a t-shirt underneath it, so it was completely conservative. And I got demerits one day for my outfit being literally too pretty, is what the excuse was. Also, we would get some demerits for not wearing hose. And Pensacola Christian College is in Pensacola, Florida. So very, very hot. And they would have women watching you as you left your dormitory, making sure all the females were wearing hosiery. And that was extreme. That was very extreme. None of the purity culture kind of things where women are supposed to stay pure for a male's eye. As a young child, I was told that it was my responsibility to make sure that these old men in the church, grown men, older men in the church, are not to sin because of what I wore. So I felt like even as a young child, I understood that was way too much responsibility.
Yeah, we struggled with that a little bit too. I was, JP was raised in a Catholic school all the way through, and I was raised in Arkansas by a Baptist and an atheist. So I took a lot from both sides, and my dad was responsible for me thinking for myself. I never wanted to choose atheism because I wanted
having
to believe
someone
something.
that would encourage you thinking for yourself,
It's powerful.
It's so powerful.
Right.
And as your friend for a long time, your ability to think for yourself has gotten you so far.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes, so
Yeah.
far. Because
there's always a way around it. As soon as you hear no, I hear not that way.
it is that thinking
Yeah.
right there. That's why I love you so much. It's why you've accomplished so much in your life. Because for Holly, when a problem arises, she is thinking of solutions no matter what. Whereas when you're raised with religion, it is black and white thinking.
Yeah.
It is, you are female, your job is this, period. And then maybe on another episode we could talk about the patriarchy and how it hurts males, because I've got a lot of thoughts on that, and that goes in with it. I almost would say that it is sexual abuse to tell a child that she is responsible for a grown man's actions, what he does, especially what he thinks, because what a man thinks should never be put on a child. So, and that's, my opinion.
As a child, I would hear a lot of the terrible things in the Bible, and I would ask my mom, like, why would God do those terrible things, right? And she always had an answer. And, I still chose to believe. And then, I guess my real questions arose when, as an adult, I went back and read the Bible. And I was angry reading the Old Testament because he's just like, I said don't turn around, kills them. They didn't do this, kills them, kills every firstborn baby son in an entire country. Like, I was just like, he's just killing everybody.
Also in the Old Testament, we get the 10 Commandments. And what is number 1 on the 10 Commandments? Thou shalt not kill. But yet, over and over and over in the Old Testament, we have go to the Melanites and let's slaughter everyone, but very specific. The Bible is very specific. If you beat your slave, okay, as long as they don't die within 3 days, it's okay. Yes, it's okay if they don't die. If they die within 5 days, 5 days is okay if they die from your punishment.
JP, in the Catholic Church, did they brush over some of these things, or were you fully aware that that the Old Testament claimed that God was murdering all
I
these?
came around during the New Testament times.
Yeah.
So, they watered things down a lot, made it more friendly, and, it was still very black and white, and they try to make you stay in this lane, and it's very restrictive. So you have to really kind of piecemeal it and figure it out as you get older, and even still to this day, they like you to color in the lines. Mm-hmm. They don't like you free thinking, and this is the only way, and this is the way that things have to be done, and if you don't do it this way, you're not going to be partaking in the kingdom of heaven.
So you went to a Catholic school your whole upbringing, correct?
Correct.
All right, now, so for me, it was Bible verses being tested on every Friday. We had chapel and our tests on the Bible verses. Looking back, I feel like this time should have been spent on science, because my science book was mostly Bible verses. So when I was an adult and I went to a museum for the first time, like a real one that says the actual age of bones, that was shocking. It was a shocking experience for me. Anyways, but my question for you is, were you tested every week, like in the Catholic school? Did you have to learn Bible verses and recite them for tests?
It wasn't so much specific Bible verses, even though we did readings and things like that, but we weren't specified to, you will memorize this verse and this verse. It was more of a general idea of how to behave and how to treat others, which is, in the end, is what all religions strive to do, is to be a good person, treat each other with respect.
So that, I feel like, is actually a little bit away from the black and white thinking.
Yes.
So they're not saying go by the specific Bible verse that you have to memorize by core memory, and then act specifically according to that verse only, or whatever. You're saying you were taught a general idea of morality. Can I say morality?
Sure.
So you're saying that you were taught a general idea of morality instead of like black and white thinking. Is that how you would say?
It's tough because I always thought, how is it that, you know, that person follows that religion, this person follows that religion, and just because of the line that you ended up in, you're going to either go to heaven or you're not. It's like, how is it that that's going to affect a whole civilization?
All right, so I can get into that. We can talk about that. All right, so I do believe when it comes to the Old Testament and the God that never changes, all right, so I have friends that I'm very close to that don't necessarily believe in the Old Testament, but they believe in Jesus' teachings. And if I could say anything, when you look at the New Testament and you look at the way that Jesus lived his life and his specific teachings, all right, even though I'm very deconstructed from religion, that right there, I will not say against. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus is specifically what he taught. Feed the poor, and his actual teachings are beautiful. The only problem is those teachings don't line up with anything that's in the New Testament. Like, why is it there? Like, why is it in the Bible? So what Jesus said was, I have no disagreements with the sermon. Everything that Jesus talked about was giving to the poor. Jesus was a socialist. He believed in money for free. He healed people for free. He fed people for free. Jesus,
But wasn't that like not even his name?
Jesus?
It was like Yeshua is what they claimed.
We can go there. We can also ask how someone in the Middle East had some besties named Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, like in the Middle East back then.
Right.
There were no white people
I think
involved.
a lot of the Bible was meant to be not taken literally.
Actually, it just clicked. So Yeshua, I think is the way you say Jesus in the old Hebrew kind of thing. So Yeshua
It was spelled completely different.
Well, of
also.
course, but it's a language translation. You have to understand that this is translated into different. We didn't take the original transcripts and translate it into English. No,
Yeah. But it
was
would have been
translated into
Jesus before
Hebrew,
Jesus
Greek,
anyway,
blah,
because
blah,
Jesus, the J did not make the J sound, because Latin is an older language than English. So
all I
it would have
know
been
is that
Jesus.
when I was in 10th grade, we did a project on there was like a reward for who can find the most biblical names for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Like hundreds. That it's confusing and like hard to keep straight. But here, my biggest thing about religion, well, I won't say all religions, but the way I was raised, fundamental independent Southern Baptist, okay, there is no choice. There's no choice in that religion, because here's the way that I explain it. If I were to take something that would hurt you and put it to your head and say, give me your money, are you giving me your money out of choice or out of fear for your life? Did I take away your free will?
Kind of, yeah.
So that same would apply on
So
threatening hell.
But that is hell. Hell is the object that takes away your free will.
Because you're not doing the right thing to do the right thing, because it's what you want to do. You're being threatened.
There's no morality there, because you're not doing what's right to do what's right. You're doing what's right to save your life.
With a threat.
So when Christians will say often, how can an atheist claim to be moral because they don't even believe in heaven or hell? So how can an atheist ever do what's right if they don't have the threat of everlasting fire to harm them in the end?
Maybe because
And
they're just a
the
good
answer
person.
is correct. Morality, just being a good person. Atheists are a good person because they want to be a good person, because they want to treat somebody right. Teaching morality is where it's at. Buddhism, all of them, they have their moral core, and it's a beautiful thing. When you stick to one, each individual religion has its corruption.
Jesse, thank you for being so brutally honest with us.
Opening up a huge can of worms.
Yes.
I will happily open up more worms anytime.
Yeah.
I've got many more cans of worms to open.
Good. I'm sure you ruffled some feathers, but at the same time, even those who had their values or their beliefs questioned, there's no harm in questioning things, because if it's the truth, then it'll lead you back to the same place.
Knowledge is always a good thing.
Yeah.
Always.
Thank you. We'll see you next Thursday at 8 p.m. on Spotify podcast, on YouTube. All right. Thanks, guys.
And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I love you too.